It gives me immense pleasure to introduce the star of the show today. You know what? His main purpose and mission in life is to not only help everyone dream, but to help them follow their dreams. He is a TEDx speaker, past president of Dynamic Business Club, and he did a Tamil motivational program on Polymer TV, Thedal. He coaches entrepreneurs' personal excellence, growth hacking, CXOs on scaling up, visionary leadership, and so on. His current responsibilities were CEO Revelation Consulting, Scale Up Coaching, Founder Growth Foundation INT, Entrepreneurship Community, Managing Trustee Save the Globe, Child Sponsorship NGO, Head PR Huat Child Rights NGO, Advisory Board of Select Institutions and Organizations. Definitely, everyone would like to attend workshops, which is simple and worthy. He is the leading light in conducting workshops, which will be simple enough to practice and deep enough to produce results. So let's welcome Mr. James Beneath, business coach, author, and philanthropist. Sir, we are super excited to have you here. Excited about all the amazing conversations that we are going to have today. Once again, welcome you, sir. Over to them.
Now I hand over this platform to our guest speaker, Mr. James Beneath. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for the wonderful introduction. So if you're happy and excited, just put in the chat box. I'd recommend once in a while, just kindly use the chat box, because I always love sessions when they are, it is very, very highly interactive as well. So I request you to sort of put in the chat box. If you're happy and excited, just put happy or excited. Let's get started. So I thank all the organizers and the people who have been very instrumental in making this particular event possible. So thank you to each and every one of you. You've taken time off to learn more about managing time. So that's a great thing. So let me just start off right now. Just give me a second. I'm just setting up something over here. And meanwhile, if you've got a pen paper, I recommend probably have a pen paper down. Here's what I normally tell people. Is it mandatory to take notes in all the programs? I don't think so. But what I always love telling people is leaders are like cows. Something very different you find in a cow is, it'll store some food and it'll chew on it later. So that's the kind of stuff leaders are also made of. Certain things will really hit you. You'll feel as if it was actually said for you. So probably you can just note down those things alone. I don't want you to really write long notes or anything like that. Certain things would be like so very apt for you, and I'll be happy if you could probably note it down and make some changes out of that as well. So we approximately have about 25 odd people over here, and if you're spending about 30 minutes, so we're talking about time worth 12.5 hours, which is like almost half a day of time. And I don't have the right to waste that much time, and you don't have the right to waste that much time. So if you're spending some time here, we might as well make very good use of that particular time as well. Done. I always love to take a very practical approach. Okay, so I don't want to get much into theory. I want to look at how practically you can manage time. And some of the mentors, with whom I used to learn before, the best advice I have ever got for time management was, it goes like this: you want to know more about time management, get yourself a watch. So this is what my mentors had told me earlier. But again, I understand practical side of things are more essential, because today's world, your distractions are lot of distractions, a lot of things are going on. And the one big asset that you're going to be missing out if you don't use properly, this is going to be your time. So I'm going to be sharing some practical hacks as in how you can manage time. And before I touch on that, I believe there are 3 important T's for anybody to really excel in their life, or in other words, for productivity. Any guesses? What those 3 T's would be? Just feel free to give your answer in the chat box or the comment section as well. What are the 3 T's that are very, very important? Obviously, one is going to be the time, and because we here talking about time management. And what do you think are the other 2 T's? So what are the other 2 T's? Okay, trust, talent. Fantastic sharing by everybody. Thank you, team, for putting in your answers. Okay, what else do you think are very important? Three important T's to increase your productivity in life. Teamwork. Okay, so we're getting some great sharing from people as well. Fantastic. So let me just break the ice. Three T's. One is, like you all know, we talk about time. Then there is task management and there is things management. Okay. So task management is how you plan your day-to-day life, your to-do list. If you plan your task well, you will not miss out on anything. There is no such thing called emergency task. If you plan your tasks properly, you'll be paying your bills on time, be it electricity bill or recharging or boosters, boosters for your prepaid mobile, paying the fees, no late fees, no penalties and all of that. So how you manage your to-do list and routines is pretty much falls into the task management. Things management is how you manage your own stuff, the rotation of things and the longevity of things. Some people are so very used to losing a pen and paper, not a paper, probably pen and pencil every week. And some of you will take a lot of time to even go and find your Aadhaar card or driving license if somebody asks. So if you manage your things well, your life is pretty much organized. And now here as a topic pretty much is on time management. I'd like to spend more time talking about time management. And also another thing I'd like to add before diving into the actual topic is there are three things which will ideally control your life. Three things that are controlling your life. So what are those three things? One is time, then your health, and then your money. And if you're in the young age, like in your school, college, before work, all this young age, you have only any two things are given to you in abundance, and one is always running in, it's always at a state of scarcity. So at a young age, you're having a lot of time and you're having a lot of health, and maybe money is limited because we rely on our parents. We are basically dependent on somebody, so the money flow is kind of limited. And when you get to the real corporate world, you start working, you start earning, you start making some money. So you start to taste the flavor of how it is to handle money. So you start getting money in abundance if you work hard, and then you obviously have very good health, and then you'll be running out of time. When you get to the corporate world, time is going to be like the biggest thing that you're going to be really really longing for, because you'll have money and you have health, but you don't have much time because you have projects, you have deadlines, deliveries and all of that. Towards your retirement and towards the late 50s and all that stuff, people tend to have a lot of money, and they also tend to have a lot of time if they're very successful, but the health probably is a question mark. So going forward at this age, if you're able to manage time very well, your corporate life is will be very successful. And when you're at your corporate life, if you're taking care of your health, the rest of your life will be very very happy. So now diving into the actual topic, time. You know what, I want to ask yourself, where are you going? Where are you going? Where do you think the destination of life is? Where is the destination of life? Like we are all headed to some place, and what is that particular place? Let me know in the chat box. So where are we heading towards? We're living such a busy life. We want to do this, we want to do that. A lot of things are in plan. So we're living such a really, really, really busy life. But where are we actually heading towards? Okay, we're heading towards a goal. We're heading towards determination, destination. All right, dream. Where are we actually heading towards? And hard, sad, confronting truth of life, feeling complete, great. We're all actually marching towards the end of life. If you go fast at the end of the tunnel, we're all going towards what is the end of life? The end of life is basically death. So it's like some people are really going fast towards that. Some people are really, really going slow. So I understand time management is very important, but I want you to really drive it in your mind that the end of life is that. It basically death. Let's face it. So every single time they say ispalko geo, it's though I'm going to be talking to you about how to utilize your time, I want to really touch a lot also touch upon celebrate your time as well, because we are all waiting for the moment to happen, but we are not living in the moment. So when I talk about time, make use of time very, very effectively. You know what? That opens up a whole new conversation. If you look at an average, let's just do some, I love playing with numbers. Let's just do some number math stuff with time. Let us just say average life expectancy for somebody is like 75 years, and if you're able to live beyond 75, hats off. We are having our own parents or grandparents, with 80s and 90s and marching towards hundreds. And if we can live that long, great, brilliant. But I want to give you a very conservative number. Let's just say 75, for instance. And how many months is that? That's called 900 months. Now, if you could put a big calendar or a big chart at your front desk at your home, or in your important note, whichever that you refer to, like a diary or something, put 900 blocks or 900 dots, and then start striking every dot or block as you complete a month. And let's say average age of person who's here right now, let's just say about 20 years example, which means you have completed 204 months. 26% of life is gone. Now we've got like 74% left. Now what have you done with the time? So if you and the difference between successful people and not so successful people is how they manage the time. Because I want you to really not just take it in terms of theory, but I want to take it in terms of, the way you look at life after this. Time equals money. Can I request some of you to just put in the chat box saying that time equals money? I'm looking forward for participation, not for me to be happy or anything. Leaders participate. Nothing changes until something moves, and you've got to be that person who makes something move. And one of my very favorite videos, or the podcast, is it's called as The Strangest Secret by one Earl Nightingale. This was like long, many years ago, or a few decades ago. This particular podcast or audio has created a lot of millionaires and billionaires. And you know what the whole crux of that particular capsule is? 5%. Everybody who's born into this world wants to be rich. They want to be successful. They want to do that. They want to do this. They have a lot of dreams, but only 5% of the whole world population are action takers. And if you want to manage your money really well, you need to be able to manage your time really well. And if you want to be able to manage your time really well, you need to be that action person. You need to be like fast action person. Why do we talk about time equals money? Even right now, I want you to calculate the worth of one day or the worth of 1 hour. If you are working in a corporate, I normally tell them to, take your entire month salary, divide by 30, you get per day amount. Okay, 1 day salary. And if you take your 1 day salary, let's say approximately it's about maybe 500 or 600, divided by 8 hours of working. So you do 500 by 8, you get 1 hour of your worth. And this is how much you have to work to bring that money inside. And then if you calculate, approximately, I think it will boil down to 1 rupee odd per minute. 60 rupees odd per hour, then 1 minute per minute. And so what I'm trying to tell you is, if you sit and worry for 10 minutes, it means 10 rupees, the time worth 10 rupees is out of your pocket. And now, why is it very, very successful to even talk to or seek an appointment with a very, very successful person? It's not that they are bad. It's that these guys are valuing their time the most. Because you look at somebody who's doing $1 billion business a year, and if you look at 1 hour of time, will be like, it'll run into a few thousands or lakhs. So the first thing that'll come to their mind is, if I talk to this person, if I am dedicating this time, is it worth for me to lose off that particular opportunity? We hear about opportunity cost, right? If I waste 1 hour, that much money is going out. So calculate your time worth. And if you're a student, calculate, just play this, man. This is very, very effective for life, very useful for life as well. And calculate your total semester fee divided by number of working days per semester. So you arrive at 1 education day's cost. And if you divide that 1 education day cost divided by number of hours or number of lectures per day, you will understand the hard earned money that is being pumped into your education. What is the actual value of one particular class? And if I bunk or miss or don't, if I'm not attentive, this is the kind of loss that I'm going through. So that's the kind of mindset I want you to start having when it comes to managing your time. Again, when you look at the timeline of people, I believe up to 20 years you're in your learning phase. You wish for a lot of things, you try different things, volunteer for different things, be in the dreaming mode up to 20 years. And 20 to 30, so before 25 somehow you should kind of get settled down and all that. But 20 to 30 is your career finalizing age. Okay, and you need to use every time available for you. You need to ensure it, you need to make use of it in such a way that you're able to find your niche. So no jumping of careers. Maybe people can switch jobs, but no jumping of careers after the age of 30. So 20, up to 20, learn, use all the money for learning and finding out what you're good at. And 20 to 30, use all the time for finalizing your niche. Niche is that your particular specialty. Use the time for that. And after 30 to 40 is the money making time. All the millions and billions that you can earn in your life is only between 30 to 40. Some people do beyond that as well, but I'm giving you a rough timeline of how stuff work for majority of people. And 40 to 50 is the celebrate lifetime, because you'll have good health, and you probably would have made few lakhs and crores and all that stuff. So go around the world, enjoy. And 50 to 60 is find a social cause and make an impact in the society. 60 to 70 is more of getting family time and all that stuff. And after 70 75, people are spending more time on how I can be so active and so I can be independent in my life. So coming to some of the practical hacks when it comes to time management, I want to tell you, just want you to probably note it down. Asset, just write the word asset. Okay, time is the only asset or the resource that is given to every single person in this whole world, be it whichever caste you belong to, creed you belong to, whichever country you belong to. Even if you're a living being, even if you're a human being or an animal, only time is the time is the only resource that has been given equally to everybody. People say air, water, time, but air and water, it's just getting contaminated. The kind of the quality of air in one particular metro is different from another metro. The quality of water is different from one country to another country. There are scarcity. So time is your first asset. So if God in a way wanted to bless you, I think the first test or the first observation God would do is, man, I've given you the best resource, which is time. And if you can prove me that you are able to use your time effectively, I would be convinced that you'll be able to use the money or the blessings or anything that I give you very, very wisely as well. So if you're a wise person, learn to use your time properly, because that's the only thing that's given to everybody equally. And here's one of the very popular saying, but if you're hearing it for the first time, just write it down. It just stuck on my mind when I read this. What gets measured gets managed. Sir, how to manage time? Measure it. You go to a top consultant, pay them a lot of money and ask them to coach you on time management. Here's what they'll do. They'll ask you to measure it first. It's like somebody is going to a nutritionist or a doctor asking for a weight loss advice. I guess the doctors and the nutritionist will give you very, very good advice. Also, I guess they'll be asking you to do one more activity. And that activity is, they'll give you a paper and ask you to write for the next 1 week or 7 days or 10 days, whatever is going inside your tummy, they'll ask you to list it down. Then as you start writing, the second day or the third day, your awareness will be totally different. Is this my tummy or stomach or something else? Man, all kinds of stuff is going inside. Every 1 hour, every 2 hours, every 3 hours, something or the other is going inside. And how do I expect myself to, sort of lose weight after taking in so much of stuff inside? The same thing is applicable for time. So if you want to manage time for the next 7 days, do something called as time audit. So what is time audit? Just break down your whole time in which you are actually awake. Break it down for every 1 hour and just find out, do an audit. It's like end of the month, there are a lot of apps to record all your expenses. No, end of the month, that app will give you a chart. It'll tell you, you spend so much on fuel, you've spent so much on, snacks and all that stuff. So similarly, you do that kind of a simulation or analytics for your time management, then you'll know so much of time is gone for screen time, so much of time is gone for playing, which is good, so much of time on watching television or reading, talking, unwanted stuff or healthy stuff. What is the time for, what is the percentage of time that you have invested in yourself? So do that particular math, and that really works. And I don't know how many of you, there are a lot of apps that can even track screen time. If you want to reduce your mobile usage, don't, yes, in a way it makes sense to stay away from phone and all that stuff. But what I'm trying to tell you is measure the numbers, track yourself. Okay, my today's screen time 3 hours gone. Okay, fine, I'll stop it right now. So start tracking those numbers. When you start tracking, things work. So measure your time. And on a practical note, I feel there are three important uh, milestones slash touch points, or whatever you call it, three important milestones. If you're able to put these milestones for every single day in the right place, you will have a better edge over another person to manage your time very, very well. And you know what that is? Simple thing. What time do you eat? What time do you sleep? And what time do you wake up? Just by interacting with people for over 30 seconds and according to their answers on all these three questions, you can kind of tell the kind of life that this person is living. Because these three elements are what actually taking away your time. So if you're not managing your time every day, your eating habit is not good, your sleep habit is very poor, you don't hit the bed early, you go late, you wake up early or you wake up late. So it's kind of a mess up. So if you could put that, see, practically speaking, exactly 1 p.m. can you eat? Maybe not possible if you go to work. At least you fix up a timeline where between 12 p.m. to maybe 2 p.m. or 2:30 or whatever, I'll complete my lunch. At least try to bring a consistency within that frame. So these three things are not regular in your life. That's going to be tough. And also feel free to put in the chat box. I'd like to take a small feedback as well. If you think these three things are regular in your life, just put in the chat box regular. If it's not regular, just put in the chat box NR. Just put R or NR. Great. Another very important thing when it comes to time management, here's the game changer, friends. Okay, thank you for the honest inputs. Good. Really appreciate the honesty on that front. Start practicing it. And something that's very, very important, what all the top guys, top professionals do is any activity, you can split that activity into two. I call it as IGA and non-IGA. Okay, IGA, non-IGA. IGA stands for income generating activity. If I do this, I'll get money. If I do this, I'll not get money. Okay, or because if you're in a, since most of you, since you all belong to a student category, I would like to tell you, you can put it more like a income, instead of income generating activity, you can put it as productivity generating activity, or success generating activity, or growth generating activity. You could call it as GGA or IGGA or NGGA, growth generating activity or not non-growth generating activity. If you do this, you'll get money. If you do this, you'll grow. If you do this, you'll not get money. If you do this, you'll not grow. So put everything into this perspective and try to ensure every single day minimum 3 things. When we talk about to-do list, people say have 5 things, but I'm a 3-point man. At least do 3 things, and among those 3 things, there should be one uncompromisable income generating or growth generating activity. No matter what, without finishing that, your day is not done. Okay, so you can put 3 things, but minimum one should be like the ultimate. So then imagine for a month, 30 days, and you leave your weekends. Let's talk about 20 days. So 20 days, if you make 20 income generating solid activities, so 20 days per month. So we're talking about 900 blocks in a year. I mean, in somebody's lifespan. Imagine what will happen. What will happen to the quality of your life? So what is income generating activity? Like if I do sales, I'll get income. If I do my book arrangement, I'll probably not get income. If I talk on phone, if I chit chat, if I watch movie, if I watch television, I'll not get income. If I read a book, that's a growth generating activity. If I study a subject, if I attend maybe a meeting like this, because this is all self improvement, right? So it'll eventually convert into growth. So self-improvement activity, attending a road track meeting, learning, spending some time on online courses, learning how to run, learning certain things with the social media, creating your profile, working out on your resume, fine tuning your resume, updating your LinkedIn profile. You can list a whole lot of things. So if you do this, it's growth. If you do this, it's non-growth. So I'm not against non-growth. It is important. You want to watch movie, you want to chill out, you want to celebrate life, all that is fine. But also ensure there's a fine balance, and always this growth generation should be on the higher side. And certain things are not growth generating, but they are required for discipline purpose, such as if I clean my shelf, obviously it's not going to give me money, but it'll help me to think very clearly. So it's a non-income generating activity, but yet I'll have to do it because that comes into my discipline category. And here's another tool that I'd like to suggest. Call it as golden hour. Okay, so golden hour. Every day, at least Monday to Friday, 1 hour per day, just fix a golden hour for you. That golden hour is the time that you're going to be investing in you. Okay, you can actually put your life into 3 parts. One is the till you get settled down, then now in your learning and earning, and then later on is settling down. Now this area is very, very important, because if you are able to invest in yourself some really, really solid time and learn a lot of skills that will help you to live your rest of your life really, really well. So steal, basically I'm saying steal, yes, because everybody is stealing from you, right? What are they stealing from you? Your time. Because your television is stealing time from you, the internet is stealing time from you, social media is stealing time from you. You're losing your time every single, you're losing in many places. So probably you steal. Just think it to yourself. There are only 23 hours per day in my world. That remaining 1 hour is purely dedicated for my well-being, learning, mental stability, etc., etc., etc. So if you can make that very good, and furthermore, if you are able to fix a particular time for that, that's good. See, for people like us, ordinary people, walking every day is a little bit of a challenge, and then we can do it. We can be very successful. But if you want to live a life that's like if you take maybe top people like Bill Gates or anybody for that matter, they don't just finish the checklist. They don't say, somehow I want to go for walking today, let me complete. No, they do it on time. Doing that particular activity in that particular time is the kind of discipline that they have mastered. There are even books. There's a book by one Mr. Robin Sharma. It's called the 5 a.m. Club. So why great leaders wake up by 5 a.m.? A lot of things. So what I'm recommending is you find a good time which is really, really useful for you. It can be AM or PM, whatever it is, but that's just that time where you're investing on your particular growth. And routine. Consistency is the key, my dear friends. Anybody can start, but consistency matters. It's like if you go to a gym and work out for 5 hours, do you think you're going to be getting a 6-pack or 2-pack even? No, nothing. But if you can split that 5 across 5 hours, like 30 minutes or 1 hour for the 1 week, and then do it consistently for a period of 6 months or one year, then you can see a good improvement. So it's not about just starting something, it's about consistency. There are very, very few people in the whole wide world who are highly consistent in what they're doing. And I want you to be consistent in managing time. That'll separate you from the crowd. And emergency, those who manage time, they don't panic at all. They manage time like they manage it at ease. There is no such thing called emergency task at all. If you do all the tasks and in that particular time, it's like if you pay the electricity bill on time, you don't have to rush up on the last day or somehow go and try to do it before 12 p.m. So if set a stipulated time for every single thing, and then your life is at peace. And something very, very important, which I learned the hard way, is if you want to be a trustworthy person, you need to manage time, because time and trust goes together. Not only time, just be a person of your word, integrity, doing what you said by the time you said you would do it. If you said you will do something by this particular time, do that task by that particular time. The highest level of living is when you say something, people should believe as if it's going to happen, because you have said it, you'll give your best, you'll never give up, you'll do it. So time and trust goes together. It's like one of you now, we have Shiny Gilbert, somebody who's just picking some random name over here. So we have Shiny Gilbert. She says, I'll meet you by 10 a.m. and then she shows up by 10:15 a.m. And if you do you think I'm going to be trusting her next time she tells 10 a.m.? I'm going to be like, oh, let's do 10:15, man. It's not going to work. So the trust, people, the way people look at you, that the impression itself gets damaged when people don't manage the time properly. And in certain genuine cases, let's say genuinely Shiny Gilbert, she had some issue, maybe her car broke down or some issue was there, and then she had to be late by 15 minutes. So what you could have done, or what she could have done, is the minute you know you're going to miss certain time deadlines, this is very, very essential to be successful in real life and corporate world as well. The minute you know you're in trouble, let your authorities know, let the other person know. So she knows that she's going to be late by 9 a.m. So, but she can actually let me know that, hello, Mr. James, I'm not on track to be there by 10 a.m. So there's this kind of a issue from my end. So I take full responsibility for this. I hope you have not started from your place for that particular meeting point. So I request you to probably land there or reach there by 10:15 p.m. and 10:15 a.m. And that's my new commitment. So you're kind of renewing your commitment. And when you need to do it, you need to do it much in advance. It's not like the time bomb concept or the grenade concept. It's like people have taken the grenade and they've thrown it to you, and they threw at you and you caught it, and they're like, hey, it's a bomb, it's going to explode in a minute. So that's not how it works. Don't do this 9:55 a.m. call and say, I'm stuck, my new commitment is I will be there by 10:15 a.m. That doesn't work. The minute you know you're going to miss the time, let the other person know. Right? So communicate to the other person, no. And these are some of the practical stuff I wanted to share to people on managing your time. I hope and believe this was useful and insightful as well. So over to the Q&A time and over to people. So then if you've got some questions, we can take the questions, and then as per the agenda flows, we can proceed.
Thank you for a very brisk and energetic session, sir. Now the platform is open to all your queries and discussion. Please put your questions in chat box, or else you can unmute and ask.
Right, we have a question. What change does tracking IGA make in my life? Well, so you know where a lot of time is going, and you know how much percentage of your actual productive time you're spending in terms of income generation activity. Because the other definition of time, when you're a student, if you learn it, it's really good. Because when you get to the corporate world, the other definition of time, I actually teach entrepreneurs to look at time this way. I tell CEOs, what is salary? Salary is the amount that you pay to hire or rent X amount of hours from a single person. So if you're giving me 8 hours for 25 days, so 25 into 8 is the amount of time I've purchased that time from you to the company, and the company is paying people as salary. So obviously, if you're able to justify to that particular company that, these are the income generation activities I've done, then you'll be in a position not only to demand, but even the management itself will be in a position to know that, if they're investing 20,000 on you, you're contributing 1 lakh back to them. So they'll be interested to increase your pay 2 or 3 times in a year also. So quality of your life changes by knowing what are your income generating activities.
Is there any other doubt?
Yeah, I have a doubt. This is maybe not a doubt, but a question which everybody asks. So, meaning to this quarantine time or the lockdown, being as students, actually whatever thing we come across, that makes an appeal that this is for your time management or this values your time. and it may be an online course, may it be a part-time job which is done online, anything. But nowadays, in I accept that students do waste time, but what are the other things that are coming to us? Also, actually, we actually find so many things to do, and finally we end up in messing up with everything. And is it everything is marketed that this is useful and this actually deserves your time. So as a student, and we have a lot of things to do every day involving our online classes, and even in the lockdown, students are doing a lot of things, I know. In that case, how do I decide, or how do I conclusion that out of so many things, what deserves my time?
Perfect. So here's a very interesting circle. I call it as the sweet spot of your life. So that's how you try to bring that out. There are basically three circles, and you find what is intersecting in all these three things. What are you really passionate about when it comes to your career, and what you love doing in future? These are the things I am really passionate about. I love to do these things. And the other circle you need to draw is, what are my strengths? What are my skills? What are the things I really I'm actually good at? So I love doing this. I'm good at doing this. So when you draw the circle, you'll also try to find some kind of an awareness. I love to do this, but I don't think I have a capability or compatibility or the skill on that particular area. So you can try to learn a skill on that particular area. So there is passion, or there is interest, and there is skill or strength, and then the third circle is money. Will this yield, will this be a career option, or can this be a money making initiative in the longer run, or can I do this for the rest of the life, and can I find a career in this particular path, or can I make my life revolve around it? So like right now I'm into coaching and development. There are a lot of strengths and passions and list of things for me, but this is one common thing where it's in my passion, it's in my strength, and it comes into the money circle as well. And that is when you try to identify your particular niche. And I would say at a young age, till 20 to 30, even at 25, some people will switch jobs, and 28 also will switch jobs. Like I've had sales stints in my life. I've been a professor. I've been a lecturer. I've played sales role. I've done recruitment role. There was a point in life where I felt I don't even know why am I doing this. But Steve Jobs in his video, he used to say, God connects the dots so well. That you'll realize all of this probably when you're at 30. And that is why I'm saying after 30, no looking back into the career. Because if you want to take that risk, I understand your time will go, your money will go, everything will go. But if it goes at a younger age, you are at a better, you are on a safer side. You know why? After 30, you cannot learn that course, and you cannot try to evaluate. So obviously that risk is there. And if you want to decide which is important to you, please look into, does it fall into my line of career opportunity? Do I have passion for this? Am I looking to develop my skill in this area? And if I develop the skill, can I make more money, or can I grow in the corporate ladder? If the answer is yes for all these three things, maybe that's your thing.
Thank you, sir. That was extremely crisp and to the point explanation. Thank you so much.
Any other questions?
Right. So any other questions, feel free to shoot your questions. And also I'd just like to add one more point over here is, like, when the structure of my talk would have felt that, should I live my life like a mission? No, that's not what I'm trying to tell you. I even have days and timetables in our calendar where I literally want to do nothing, because you also want to be like a normal person. No, you don't want to be like a robo. I'll get up like this, I'll do this, I'll do this. Have certain days in your calendar which are cheat days. Just go as it is, go with the flow once in a while to reward yourself. Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I would just like to ask you whether the final point what you told. There are people actually who plan everything minute to minute. They plan and do and execute things, but will they not be bored towards end of the life? Sometimes it may work out well, but I've seen many people doing that. They plan for the entire week what they're supposed to do, what they're supposed to go, and what they're supposed to cook at home. Ladies, especially managing home and work. So they plan everything and they go by that. Do you advise that, or little bit? I feel little bit of planning is essential, but too much of it. I'm not able. Will we be able to sustain that?
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree with you. Don't if you overdo anything, the fun part dies. But without planning is also not very good, because there's a very famous statement. It says, "Where there is no vision, people perish." So you need to know where you're heading towards. That's very important. There's also a very good quote which says, "If you fail to plan, you plan to fail." So what happens at the family level, if a menu is charted out, there's a lot of confusions are gone, because in some area, some households, where the home minister, she's like literally taking running everything. Certain families, they partner together. So then the unwanted confusion comes. Yesterday only I went to the shop and got carrot. Today you're telling me you want potato. So what is it for tomorrow? So that's so to kind of reduce the issue is what that should be the purpose of that. Otherwise, I am not for like putting a timeline and for everything. Don't do over planning. A little bit of planning is needed to where you go. But that's why I said that ispalco geo. That statement is very, very important. I
Yes.
feel we are all living for something. We are waiting for something to happen, but we are missing the moment, because the whole life is like I wouldn't say like a lie, but it's like every area somebody sold some concept to us. When you were a child, they said, if the baby sits, it'll be good, because from the minute you born itself, the problem started. When will the time come the baby will cry? So they whacked you and then the baby cried. Then the parents are waiting, when will this baby will talk, when this baby will walk, when this baby will crawl. Then the lkg ukg 1 2 3 4, then 10 standard, 10 10 10 10 very important in life, then 12 12 12 very important in life, then career, then job, then again the whole life gets repeated. Then you need to get married, you get a baby, the same story goes to that baby. Now when the baby will come, now when the baby will walk. So we are kind of repeating. So what I'm trying to tell you here is, live in that moment. Even now some people will be like, when I will get into that corporate world, somehow I want to complete this semester, somehow I want to get to the next year. Just live this moment, because nowhere to go, nothing to prove. That's what I started in the session on that particular note. What is the end of life? It's death. Let's all face it. So why so much hurry? Why so much of planning? Planning is essential, but take life as it comes. The thrill of life is very, very essential. So that defines how your life can be. Because if you do too much of planning, that can be stressful, because stress is expecting something to happen and it is not happening, then you create stress. So unwantedly, too much of planning will lead to a lot of stress.
Yeah. And one more thing I wanted to ask, when I was just looking at your profile, I saw many terms were actually new to me. What is growth hacking?
Okay, so hacking is a term where people now use it.
Yeah.
It's like a secret, or how to do it quickly, how to do it fast. Like even some of the tools I told can also be told as, these are my time hacks. These, if you follow these hacks / tricks / ideas / insights, you can manage time. So that's how it is. So growth hacking, it's like a new word that we've kind of created for our community. We have a community of entrepreneurs. So we tell them how to use velocity in business. So velocity is the speed at which you bring future into present. You can reach a particular success point in 10 years. If you're smart enough, you can make that happen in 5 years. So how to do that? There are some proven steps and techniques. So that's what we refer to as growth hacking.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah. Students, I think you have many doubts, but you're not speaking it out. At least put it in the chat box. He has given you his time and he is ready to answer your question. Just ask, interact.
Yes, time goes, time flies.
Yeah.
It's like, if the second is gone, you cannot bring it back. There's no rewind button for time. So gone is gone.
Hi, James. Bala here.
Hi.
I was participating in a webinar a week back. நீங்க பண்ணிருந்தீங்க.
Okay, okay,
Yes,
okay.
so just it's very impressive. So just a thought process. I'm an young entrepreneur, 4 years old into the system. So I was 14 years of experience, 10 years into the employment mode, and last 4 years into entrepreneurship mode. So far, it's going well. So can you just let me know, like, how I should maintain the momentum? And so far, I'm scaling. I'm scaling gradually. So I need to maintain this momentum. And what are the precautions I need to follow it?
Right. So one is you need to have your special time. Like I have a friend who's working in abroad. Recently, in an interaction, this person said they had something called as a blue box in their office, where that's like a separate room where once in a month or sometimes twice in a month, the directors will go into that. They lock themselves for the whole day, which is basically strategy day. So you need to have certain days like that where you're thinking loud, because constantly when you're in that growth mode, firefighting is what happens. Firefighting is every day some problem comes, you'll have to solve that problem. You're not in that mode or mindset to think of growth. So you basically steal that time from you and create that me time. If so, select that, make that me time to you. And very importantly, as an entrepreneur, I'm not sure what business you're into, but I normally tell entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
IGA, income generation activity, is if you sit in office, you'll not make money. So please go out of office. So most of my clients is employees, we used to tell them, உங்க ஓனர் ஆஃபீஸ்க்கு வந்தாருன்னா வாரத்துக்கு ஒரு டைம் மட்டும் வர சொல்லுங்க, then tell them don't come at all. Because if the boss is outside, he's bringing a lot of revenue. Obviously certain things you do it digitally, you bring in all that stuff, but literally before COVID, that's how it used to be. Like you meet people, you make stuff happen. Because if you sit in office, another very very big important thing is you might have to have another office for you, because everybody knows if this time if I go, this person is over here. I'm not talking bad or ill of others, but everybody trying to sell you can actually trap you and steal your time. You will sit and say, today I want to finish this work, then 4 people will come. You cannot show a sorry face, you're not good at saying no, the time will go off. So that's one. And do your weekly meetings with people, and give people some tasks what they need to be planning till the next week.
No. We do a sunrise meeting every day. Just quick snapshot, 10 to 12 minutes. And weekly, every Saturday, we do 10 to 20 to 30 minutes of reviewing system we do it.
Okay.
And one thing I take away from your last webinar is like you told about the grade system.
Correct, yeah.
Evaluated. So that is my takeaway in your webinar, and it was really good. And one thing, so anyway, the future generation is also, I just wanted to have the question in the open forum. See, what is your one single thought process, growth thinking they do have when they come out of college? Because we hire a lot of freshers and we a lot of setbacks and a lot of they're not properly put up once into the market once they study. So what is your thought process where they can able to implement, they can start a career successfully?
Okay, you're asking me what they need to be very successful in the corporate world after college, or is it
after
about
college, how their approach once they finish off the college?
Okay, for the students you're asking how they should approach.
Yes approach
Okay.
the career.
Okay, so two things. From a recruiter point of view, there's this thing called iceberg concept. People used to talk about that. No, the only 10% of the iceberg is visible, the tip. 90% is bottom. So as a recruiter or the corporate aspect, you need to look at the 90% of people. You can actually Google it. It's called as iceberg skill competency mapping. So what it says is skill and knowledge. This is the 10% you are seeing in an interview. When somebody is coming out of college, you're looking at his skill, looking at the knowledge. So other three elements are there underwater. Those three elements are, one is traits. So what are the family traits? That is why people ask in interview, what is your mom doing? What is your dad doing? Even that will have a impact in how this particular candidate is working for a corporate aspect. So what they imbibe from their parents. So, and then another one is self-trait, self-concept. Self-concept is, who do you think I am for myself? That self-image, that's very important. People who are having very poor self-image, that's again another problem. And another very important third element will be motive in life. What is the motive in life? Everybody is having multiple motives in life. For some people, motive will be make money, be rich, have celebrate life, enjoy life, be good, do good, live with family, all of that. So even in college, now coming to the student side, even if you're in college, don't expect only skill and knowledge from your college. That alone, That you're going to college for that, but that alone is not sufficient. Even volunteering for forums like this is not only for skill and knowledge. The other three areas, the work is happening underwater, which is your motive in life. Because when you come to it, when you participate in road track and all, what happens, you start having right motives in life. You want to do good, you want to be a good person, you want to change the world, you want to make the world a better place. And then your self concept, when people appreciate you, your self concept, what you think about yourself changes. And the third one is again your traits. So what you imbibe from your parents also happens. So, and as a student, when you coming into corporate world, ask yourself about billability, because it's all, everybody is thinking about ROI, right? So ROI means return on investment. To make it very simple, how much salary you want? Sir, I want 20K, 40K, 50K, right? So how much money will you give me? No, not many people are having the answer for that.
Yes.
Obviously, when you get to the corporate, you will build that kind of a maturity. But if you can build this maturity before, and that is why we have all these forums where what happens in places like Rotract, corporate world is being mirrored to you. It's like teamwork. Without giving salary, you have to get people to a meeting, you have to get them to do it, using influence to get things done. So if you're able to understand that corporate dynamics, and if you go to a company for interview, you need to look at what is my role. Is my role as a territory manager or a sales manager or an executive or digital marketing? Then what is the average product? If the particular company is selling, let's say they're selling mugs, and if they're selling mugs at 25 rupees, if I join that company, what is the turnover that company should get so that they can give me a good amount? So if you can do that math, I'm telling you, you'll be like way, way, way ahead. You can demand salary, nothing wrong. But if you have this proposal and plan, I'm telling you, every entrepreneur will say, you start, I will give you even 50,000, but I'll give you 2 months. If you don't work, I'm sorry, I'll have to send you, I'll have to say bye-bye for this. Because if you work out like that, sir, if you're able to sell 10,000 mugs, you'll make so much rupees, and 10% is margin. From the 10%, I'm only expecting 1%, sir. Can you do it? They'll be impressed. So it's called return on investment or billability. That's the key word. Are you billable from day one? Fresh out of college or billable? Billable is I can start making money by using you. Ideally, that's how corporate works. So am I billable is the question everybody needs to ask ourselves.
Yes, Sumathi, I think his message is loud and clear. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.